Is your lawn dying in front of your eyes for no good reason?
And despite your best efforts, is it a shadow of its former glory?
Are you just completely baffled? Why is it dying? Well, I've got news for you. You might have an unforeseen enemy underneath your lawn.
That's right. In today's video, we're in the middle of treating this lawn for the classic leather jacket infestation.
Let's get on with it. This lawn doesn't look too bad, as we're halfway through the lawn renovation and the treatment of the leather jackets. But trust me, it was a disaster zone. Now, you might be wondering what leather jackets are.
And that's not just a type of coat.
What is a leather jacket, Jason?
It's a grub, basically, that lives under your grass, and at a certain time of year, it will come out and become daddy long legs. So now we're going to dig a hole to see if we can see the leather jackets.
If you dig a couple of holes in your garden to find leather jackets and you don't find them, but you think you have them, doesn't mean to say that you don't have them. So don't, just because you dig a section and you can't find them, doesn't mean to say you don't have them. Well, they're always going to be in the very sort of start of the soil profile. That's nearly too deep. You'd expect to see them in and around this height here. Oh,
There's one.
there's one. So pull her out, Jason. So you can see that wasn't very far in the soil profile, but that sort of height. So we know that they're definitely in the lawn. August, September, you'll start to see a lot of daddy longlegs in your garden. And you might see them on the walls and in your house and everywhere. Whenever you have a lot of them, your garden can support a certain number, but whenever you big infestation, that's whenever the problem happens. So in September, October, they plant their eggs, the daddy longlegs plants their eggs in your lawn. Over the course of the winter, those eggs hatch and they turn into little grubs. Those little grubs are called leather jackets. So as we said, your lawn can support a certain number of them, but whenever you get a lot of them, then all of a sudden your lawn starts dying off in front of your eyes.
You'll see the patches on the ground. As you can see here, around this patch here is really green, and then the middle, it's just a little bit weaker. That's a good sign that there's a chance that there's leather jackets in this area as well.
And then when I would take a walk over, you can see the edges are still really suffering. You can see through here. This area here is really weak. An easy way to tell if you have leather jackets in your lawn, apart from your lawn dying off for no good reason, if all of a sudden the birds are pecking at your lawn, but it's not just one or two birds pecking at your lawn because that's nature, but whenever you get lots of birds always on your lawn, well, that's a pretty good sign.
Now, if they're having a good feast. Robbie, you know all that time we spent recording, getting it to this point? Are we going to put that footage in?
That video, that video of the lawn renovation.
Yeah.
Not really sure. I accidentally deleted that, Jason.
I'm glad it wasn't me. But this is what it was like.
So today we're going to focus on a few different ways that you can do to sort them out. So let's do that now. So one of the best ways to deal with whenever you have leather jackets in your lawn is to remove the thatch, because that is where they live. So that is an easy cultural step to try and control leather jackets in your lawn. Now we're going to look at the next method. These are a really good way to control leather jackets in your lawn, but they come with caveats. Now, we don't use them professionally because you can't rely on them.
Yep.
They are a natural product. They're grown in a lab. One of the reasons why I'm filming this video now is because I bought them and I had them in the fridge. If you buy them, you have to keep them in your fridge because they're a live product. My wife was like, get them out of my fridge. So hence why we're making
The video
today and not in the spring or the autumn. So to use nematodes, you need to use them in the spring or in the autumn.
And for American and Canadian viewers, that's fall.
In the spring, you need to put them on at double rate.
Yep.
In the autumn, you put them on just at the rate that says on the packet. The best place to buy them, I buy these off Amazon. If you want to help support the channel, I'll drop a link down below. Now, let's get them onto the lawn. To have a look at the nematodes, now there's a lot of things that we're going to cover that you have to follow if you're going to be using these here. So whenever you have a look at it, this is just a carrier. inside it, they're microscopic. The easiest way to apply them is through a watering can. You can use a knapsack sprayer. However, the sprayer needs to be really clean because these are a live product. So if you mix these in with a herbicide or weed killer or even fertilizer, you might damage them. So you're better putting them on with a clean sprayer. Before we start putting these onto the lawn, Jason, what's the most important things about nematodes that people need to consider?
The weather conditions.
The weather, less so.
More temperature.
More temperature. You want to put them on between 12 and 20 degrees for the soil temperature, not the ambient temperature, the soil temperature.
And that's 54 to 68 Fahrenheit for you Americans.
You also want to make sure that you water them well, and that's where most people get nematodes wrong. They put them on and then the lawn isn't properly watered. You need to water the lawn for 2 or 3 weeks after you put them on. So again, they're a natural product and they need to soak well down. There's something else we can do to help that process, Jason. What is it?
Aerate.
Yeah, so if you can aerate your lawn before or after you put these on, it's going to help them soak down into the soil. Another thing is the weather conditions. You don't want to put them on a bright sunny day. You want to put them on an overcast day like today.
Robbie, what can you do if you think you've got leather jackets between spring and fall?
That's what we're going to show you next, Jason. So the sprinkler is a key part to both the nematodes and the next part of the puzzle.
So Robbie, after the watering, what are we doing?
The watering is a really important step for this next one, and you want to make sure that you're really properly soaked along. I'm getting soaked myself standing here beside this sprinkler. We're going to put down a black plastic, and the reason we do that is we want to sweat them out.
Yep.
So whenever the lawn's really properly soaking, and then the black plastic layer, it creates like a thermal gap, and they don't like the heat, and they come up to the surface.
And once they're up, what can you do with the grubs?
The best thing to do is just sweep them up, either put them in the brown bin, or if you want to be environmentally friendly, a flower bed somewhere out of the way.
Maybe find some way of feeding them to the birds.
Yeah, that'd be another good way. Now, before I tell you about the third option to control leather jackets in your lawn, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to leave me a comment and smash the like button. Now, let's get on to the final piece of the puzzle. The third option to treat your lawn is this stuff here. And what it is, it's a professional-only insecticide. So you'll need to be trained and insured to use it. You're going to be looking for a lawn care company or a gardening company. Why am I telling you about it? Well, it's probably the most effective, or it is the most effective treatment in the UK for leather jackets. However, it also comes with caveats. You can only use it once a year, and you're best using it after the daddy longlegs have planted their eggs in the lawn in October. That's a really good time to hit them. So if you have leather jackets in your lawn, then you want to do whatever you can, because there's a good chance that if you have a really good community of them, then you're going to lose your lawn. So by using the nematodes and the black plastic as shown here, then you're going to get a good chance at getting top of them. You can of course also use the nematodes in the autumn, as I showed you earlier on in the video. Now I'm going to leave a link to my Facebook community group where people have posted pictures to the damage that I've done to their lawn, so make sure to check that out.